opening invocation.
I will. Thank you, worshipful sir. Our gracious and loving God, we come to you today to ask that you look over this installation of new officers of WALLER Masonic Lodge No. 808 as we bring in the new Masonic year 2021-2022. Lord, we give thanks to all the brothers who have committed this year to serve for the future of WALLER Masonic Lodge. We know as the officers receive your guiding light upon the altar, and as this light is passed to the worshipful master, WALLER Lodge will have a successful and great fraternal year. Father, we ask that your all-seeing eye guide the membership as they remember our first teachings in Masonry, brotherly love, relief, and love, a truth. We ask this in thy holy name. Amen.
So mote it be.
Please join with me in giving the pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please be seated. As I was reminded a little while ago, it's always good to be flexible when running an event like this. I was not supposed to be up here. The outgoing master was going to be up here to give closing remarks and start the meeting and get this installation of officers started off. But you get me instead. I'm so sorry. It's been a pleasure serving WALLER Lodge, even in a temporary position, because I'm filling in for the senior warden who had passed away in office last November. He suffered from a very critical heart problem where he had 21 stents in his heart. And then he got COVID-19 and then finally couldn't overcome it.
21
That's the only reason I'm in line to serve. It is an honor to serve this small, humble lodge. And I'm glad you all came out today to share this event with us today. This time I want to turn the program over to your installing officer. Hang on, Doug. Doug's his bio is too long for me to memorize. Brother Doug became a Mason in 1976 at the Walsham Lodge. He's a charter member of Oakwood Lodge. He served as master of Oakwood Lodge in 96 and 97. And because he didn't know the word no, he served again in 97 and 98, 98, 99. He still then served as secretary of 2000 and 2005. The highest award that can be granted to an individual member is the Golden Trowel Award, issued by the Grand Lodge of Texas. And Brother Doug received that award in 2012. He is a charter member of WA Tansy Lodge. He served as master of WA Tansy Lodge in 2016 and 2017. He has served with the Grand Lodge of Texas as District Deputy Grand Master for 30C. He is currently serving as District Deputy Grand Master at large. What an honor it is to have Doug serve as our installing officer this year. Doug and I have a long history with each other. It's a very welcoming and warm history, both in law enforcement and in Masonry. Please give a warm welcome to your installing officer, Doug Hudson. If I may, I'm going to take my hat off. I'll let you run the remainder of the rest.
He calls me Ricky.
Hello. Telephone.
Yeah, I'm 7. Sir, I've got 29 years and 7 months, and he calls me Ricky.
Now it's my turn for a little while. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here today. It's a very special day, obviously for the officers of WALLER Lodge No. 808. Like Brother Stephen Orlando said, we go back working together back with the Sheriff's Department in 1991. I retired from the City of Houston Police Department, and being a street officer on the street, you don't have much time to do a whole lot of things, and of course I worked the evening shift too, so I couldn't participate in a lot of lodge activity back in the early days of my Masonic career. So in 1991, I went to work at the Sheriff's Department, and I met Brother Stephen. We developed a very close relationship and studied Masonic work while we were at work. And so over many years, so the past 30 years I've known Steve, and we've been together through the chain of Masonic activity. He was master of Cape Rockwell Lodge, and I was master of Oakwood the first time. He became master of Billy Wayne Tinsley in 1998, and I became master of Oakwood the second time. And he became the secretary of Cape Rockwell, and I became secretary of Oakwood in 2005. We're kind of swapping off with one another, and he kind of told me about being a charter member of Billy Wayne Tinsley. I accepted, and I was honored to be the master of Billy Wayne Tinsley Lodge. I'm scared of this name of Paul. In 2016-2017. So we have had a long career. When I got my golden trial award, Brother Stephen was the man. He introduced the master's ceremony that day. He put a little surprise on me that day. He didn't tell me nothing about his little sneaky word. So I was a little surprised that day he did that to me. So, but it was a good day. Then we had a first responders program at Melrose Lodge here back in 2018, and I called on Brother Steve to be the master of ceremonies at that event, and he very graciously did a great job. So that's kind of where me and Stephen go back a long time, 30 years. And so I tell you, when he called and asked me to be the installing officer today, I was just honored, because he installed me 3 times, and I guess I owed him one.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty honored. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Brother Stephen. Let me make some other introductions. The installing team here today. We have the installing secretary will be Right Words with Sean Well. She's the District Deputy Grand Master of Masonic District number 44. Installing chaplain will be Brother Jack Vance. He is a member of Billy Wayne Tinsley, Lodge number 1458. And installing, where's Carter?
He's not here yet.
Marshal?
No, there's
He
not.
hasn't made it. He hasn't made it.
Huh?
He hasn't made it yet.
Okay. Installing musician. Brother Carl Shafak, the powerful keyboard guy. Thank you. Sergeant Sheriff, 298. It is my true honor to introduce the installing Marshal. Let me get over to modern technology. I can't get all that wrote down on a piece of paper. Right Worshipful, Bart Henderson.
Thank you, sir.
Grand Junior Warden of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Texas.
Thank you.
Right Worshipful Henderson was a member of Woodland Lodge number 1157. He He was raised in 1986. He has plural memberships in WALLER Lodge 1336. He worship master in 1999 and 2000. Received the Golden Trial Award in 2018. D108 Lodge worship master in 2015-17, Texas Lodge of Research, Grand Lodge of Texas District Masonic Relations Officer.
That's a long time ago.
Yes, sir, I know. I'm there with you. 2000 to 2002, District Deputy Grand Master. 2004, Grand Senior Deacon. 2006, President of Master Warden Secretary Association of District 30. 1999 to 2000, Assistant State Coordinator. 2002-2004, State Coordinator. 2006, Grand Lodge Counterparts Recording Secretary. 2006, Grand Masters Planning Team. 2001, 2002, 2004, 2006, and 2015, Grand Masters Family Convention Team. 2004-2005, Area Conference Coordinator. 2009 to 2012, 2015, Chairman of the Youth Activities Committee. And a host of all other things. Thank you so much, very much. So we are honored to be here today to serve in this capacity, to install the officers of WALLER Lodge No. 808. This ceremony has been conducted from the monitor of the lodge for many years. Although the tradition of this ceremony has been in effect for 124 years at WALLER, and they got an anniversary coming up next year, 125 years. That's great. I assure each of you this very distinct ceremony will be remembered for years to come. I ask for your cooperation as we move forward in this afternoon's ceremony and assisting us today. Before we begin the ceremony, perhaps it would be appropriate to make a few remarks about Freemasonry. It is probable that some of you are in a Masonic Lodge room for the first time. If so, many of the things you see here may be strange to you, but let me assure you that everything in this room, outside the ordinary furniture, such as the chairs, has a deep significance and meaning of Freemasonry. There are three things which I wish you could particularly notice. The first is the altar and the book upon it. There is an altar in every Masonic lodge. And always when the lodge is open and working, the book of our faith is open upon it. And thus, as a constant reminder of the presence of our meeting with the Supreme Architect of the universe, I should tell you of our belief that everything we do here is acceptable in His sight. The second thing I want to draw your attention is that every Mason present is wearing a white apron. This is said to have come from the wearing of a leather apron by our ancient brethren who were actual fact builders or stonemasons. To modern Masons, the white apron is a symbol of innocence and the badge of a Mason. The third thing, it has probably already attracted your attention, is that the hat or covering worn by the presiding officer. This is a very old custom, and as is the case with so many things in Masonry, each member is entitled to his own interpretation as to why it is our custom. There are several reasons given for the custom, one of which is that it came from the custom of King Solomon, who is said to have worn his who is said to have been one of the three ancient masters who always wear his crown when presiding over the crowd. Another interpretation, one which is certainly as logical, is that it is not so much that the master has his hat on, as it is that every Mason has his hat off as a mark of respect. Not necessarily to the man in office, but the office itself, which is one of the great antiquity. The master of the Masonic Lodge, exactly as the title says, he is the master. He is worthy of note. No other organization in the world gives to a presiding and almost absolute power, which is vested in the master of the Masonic Lodge. Many misconceptions and myths have grown about Freemasonry. One of these misconceptions is that it is a secret order. This is simply not true. A secret order is one whose members hide their faces and the fact of their membership. This charge cannot be made against our fraternity, whose members proudly and openly wear the emblem of the order. Many lodges print and distribute a roster of their membership complete with their names and addresses. The Grand Lodge itself regularly publishes this roster, which gives the name of every Mason in the state. It is obvious, therefore, that we are not a secret order, rather than we are an order with secrets. And these are largely concerned with our ritual and modes of recognition. These matters are not made public simply because they concern ourselves alone. Another grievous misconception about Freemasonry is that it is a religion. It would be difficult indeed to make an error worse than one. This one, Masonry is not a religion. It never was, it is now, not now, and it never will be. It is religious and strictly requires every member that the belief in the Supreme Being. The member who attempts to substitute this lodge for his church makes a grave and serious error. For Freemasonry encourages and urges every Mason to be active in the church of his choice. Many ministers are Masons. This fact alone should go far toward clearing up this particular misconception. On the contrary, Freemasonry strongly supports it. It is handmaiden of the church. Freemasonry is the largest fraternal organization in the world. It has some 4 million members in the United States and Canada, and it exists in all free countries of the world. Texas alone is approximately 76,000 members and more than 880 lodges. Freemasonry does not openly exist in the Iron Curtain countries, but it lives there in the hearts of those who cherish freedom. It is a matter of pride to us that down through the ages, if a tyrant would come to power to succeed the most strike of the Masonic fraternity and try to suppress it, else he would fail. Freemasonry flourishes in the soil of freedom and enriches that soil. Freemasonry is the oldest fraternity the world has ever known, so that it existed before the dawn of written history. So old that no man knows whence it came or where it began. But we know this: Freemasons are choosing of their own free will and accord. Their leaders, long before any country ever dreamed of allowing their subjects a voice in their government. So these good men seated before you have been freely chosen by their members, by their brethren, to fill posts of leadership in our gentle fraternity. And it now becomes my duty and privilege to install them in their positions of trust, responsibility, and dignity. And as the age old ritual is performed, I beg that you will give your close attention. I assure you that this ritual is not just a string of meaningless words or phrases. Its language has the deepest meaning and the significance to Freemasonry. Now we will proceed with the installation ritual. installing Marshal, you will present the officer's resolution.
If I could have the officers to be installed to meet me in the anteroom, please. We need Steve Orlando, Carl Baggett, Chris Ryland, Richard.
He got you.
Ventrica, thank you. Adam Harvey, John Curry, James Hyde.
Oh, all right.
Robert.
You ever seen one of these in a while?
My brother, you may be seated. Brother, installing Marshal, you will present the officers to be installed.
All right. Officers to be installed, will you please rise? Right worshipful sir, it gives me great pleasure to present to you the officers, both elective and appointed, for Waller Lodge number 808 for installation. I believe them to be duly qualified to discharge the duties of their office, and each of them has signified their willingness to accept the same. I therefore ask that they be duly and constitutionally installed.
Brother, installing Marshal, you will present the worship master elect for the installation. The remaining officers may be seated. Worshipful sir and brother, I take pleasure in installing you into this honorable office with the usual ceremony. But previous to being invested with the insignia of your office, it is necessary that you should signify your assent to those ancient charges and regulations which point out the duty of the master of the lodge. You agree to be a good man and true, and strictly to obey the moral law. You agree to be a peaceful citizen, and cheerfully to conform to the laws of the country in which you reside. You promise not to be concerned in plots and conspiracies against government, but patiently to submit to the decisions of the Supreme Legislature. You agree to pay proper respect to the civil magistrate, to work diligently, live creditably, and act honorably by all men. You agree to hold in veneration the original rulers and patrons of the Order of Masonry and their regular successors, supreme and subordinate, according to their station, and to submit to the awards and resolutions of your brother, when convened in every case, consistent with the Constitution of the Order. You agree to avoid private quicks and quarrels, and to guard against intemperance and excess. You agree to be cautious in carriage and behavior, courteous to your brother, and faithful to your lodge. You will promise to respect genuine brethren and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry. You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtues, and to propagate the knowledge of the art. You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master for the time being, and to his officers when duly installed, and strictly to conform to every edict of the Grand Lodge, or General Assembly of Masons that is not subversive to the principles and groundwork of Masonry. You admit that it is not in the power of any man or the body of men to make innovations in the body of Masonry. You promise a regular attendance of the committees and communications of the Grand Lodge on receiving proper notice, and to pay attention to all the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions. You admit that no new lodge shall be formed without permission of the Grand Lodge, and that no countenance be given to any irregular lodge, and to any person clandestinely initiated therein, being contrary to the ancient charges of the order. You admit that no person can be regularly made a Mason in or admitted a member of any regular lodge without previous notice and due inquiry into his character. You agree that no visitors shall be received in your lodge without due examination and proper vouchers of their having been initiated in a regular lodge. These are the regulations of free and accepted Masons. Do you submit to these charges and promise to support these regulations as masters have done in all ages before you?
I do.
Brother Installing Marshal. Oh, back up. Brother Orlando, in consequence of your cheerful conformity to the charges and regulation of the order, you are now to be installed master of this lodge in full confidence of your care, skill, and capacity to govern the same. Brother Marshal, you will invest the worship master with the insignia of his office, which is the square. The various implements of the profession are emblematic of your conduct in life, and upon this occasion are carefully enumerated. The holy writings. That great light in Masonry will guide you to all truth. It will direct your path to the temple of happiness and point out to you the whole duty of man. The square. Teaches us to regulate our action by rule and line, and to harmonize our conduct by the principles of morality and virtue. The compasses. Teach us to limit our desires in every station, that rising to our eminence by merit, we may live respected and die regretted. The rule. Directs that we shall punctually observe our duty, press forward in the path of virtue, and neither inclining to the right nor the left. In all our actions have eternity in view. The line. Teaches us the criterion of moral rectitude, to avoid dissimulation in conversation and action, and to direct our steps to the path which leads to immorality. The Book of Constitution. You are to search at all times, cause it to be read in your lodge, that none may pretend to ignorance of the excellent precept that it enjoins. You now receive the charge of the charter. By the authority which his lodge is held, you are carefully to preserve and duly transmit it to your successor in office. Lastly, you receive in charge the bylaws of your lodge, which you are to see carefully and punctually executed. Brother Marshal, you will seat the worship master and present the senior warden-elect for installation. Brother Marshal, you will invest the senior warden with the insignia of his office, which is the level. Brother Baggett, the level demonstrates that we are descended from the same stock, partake of the same nature, and share the same hope. And through distinctions among men are necessary to preserve subordination. Yet no eminence of station should make us forget that we are brethren. For he who is placed on the lowest spoke of the fortune's wheel may be entitled to our regard. Because a time will come, and the wisest knows not how soon, when all distinction, but that of goodness, shall cease, and death, the great leveler of human greatness, reduces us to the same state. Your regular attendance in our stated meetings is essentially necessary. In the absence of the master, you are to govern this lodge. In his presence, you are to assist him in the government of it. I firmly rely on your knowledge of masonry and attachment to the lodge for the faithful discharge of the duties of the important trust. Look well to the west. Brother Marshal, you will seat the senior warden and present the junior warden-elect for installation. Brother Marshal, you will invest the junior warden with the insignia of his office, which is the plum. Brother Riley, the plum admonished us to walk uprightly in our several stations, to hold the scale of justice in equal points, to observe the trust medium between intemperance and pleasure, and to make our passions and prejudices coincide with the line of our duty. To you is committed the superintendence of the craft during the hours of refreshment. It is therefore indispensably necessary that you should not only be temperate and discreet in the indulgence of your own inclination, but carefully observe that none of the craft be suffered to convert the means of refreshment into the intemperance and excess. Brother Marshal, you will seat the junior warden and present the treasurer-elect for installation. Brother Marshal, you will invest the treasurer with the insignia of his office, which is the cross key. I'm going to see if I got this right, brother. Ventrica?
Ventrica.
Okay. Brother Ventrica, it is your duty to receive all monies from the secretary, make due entries thereof, and pay them out by order of the worst master and the consent of the lodge. I trust your regard for the welfare of the order will prompt you to a faithful discharge of your duties. Brother Marshal, you will seek the treasurer and present the secretary-elect for installation. Brother Marshal, you will invest the secretary with the insignia of his office, which is the cross quills. Brother Harvey, it is your duty to carefully observe all the proceedings of the lodge, make a correct record of all things proper to be written, receive all monies due the lodge, and pay them over to the treasurer, taking his receipt for the same. I trust that your good wishes for the welfare of this lodge will prompt you to discharge the duties of your office with fidelity. And by doing so, you will merit the esteem and applause of your brother. Brother Marshal, you will seat the secretary and present the chaplain for installation. Next, Brother Senior Deacon.
Senior and junior.
Yeah. Brother Marshal, you were to invest the deacon with the badge of their offices, which is square and compasses. Brother Curry. Oh, here, okay. Brother Curry, Brother Height, it is your province to attend the master and to own the masters and wardens, and to act as their proxies in the active duties of the lodge, such as the reception of the candidates into the different degrees of masonry, the introduction and accommodation of visitors, and the immediate practice of our rites. The square and compasses, as the badges of your office, I entrust to you, care, no doubt, your diligence and attention. Brother Marshal, you will seat the deacons and present.
Our chaplain has just arrived, Doug.
Okay,
He's ready.
we'll back her up.
Door set. Door set. Set. Door.
Brother Marshal, you will invest the chaplain with the sign of his office, which is the open Holy Bible. Brother Sidney, it is your duty to perform those solemn services which we should constantly render to our Creator, and which, when offered by one whose example is to point to the heaven and lead the way, may, by refining our souls, strengthening our virtues, and purifying our minds, prepare us for admission into the society of those above, where happiness will be as endless as it is perfect. Brother Stoney Marshal, you will seat the chaplain and present the senior and junior. We already done that. Brother Gibb. Okay. Brother Marshal, you will invest the title with the sign of his office, which is a sword. I want to say one thing. Brother Gibbons and I go back a few years. Brother Gibbons, I present you with the implement of your office, as the sword is placed in the hands of the Tyler, to enable him effectually to guard against the approach of cowards and eavesdroppers, and prevent none to pass except those who are duly qualified. So it should admonish us to set a guard over our thoughts, a fact at our lips, post a sentinel over our actions, thereby preventing the approach of every unworthy thought and deed, thus preserving consciences void of offense toward God and man. Brother Marshal, you will seat the Tyler and present the worship master, Mr. Charles. You did bring him back. Worshipful sir and brother, to your care is committed the charter of this lodge and the government of the lodge of the brethren who compose the same and are within the jurisdiction of said lodge. You cannot be insensible of the obligations which devolve on you as their head, nor your responsibility for the faithful discharge of the important duties annexed to said station. The honor, reputation, and usefulness for your lodge will materially depend on the skill with which you manage its concerns, while the happiness of its members will be generally promoted in proportion to the zeal and ability of which you propagate the genuine principles of our institution. For a pattern of imitation, consider the great luminary of nature which rises in the east, regularly diffuses light and luster to all within its circle. In like manner is your province to spread and communicate light and instruction to the brethren of your lodge. Forcibly impress upon them the dignity and high importance of masonry, and seriously admonish them never to disgrace it. Charge them to practice out of the lodge those duties which they have been taught in it, and by amicable, discreet, and virtuous conduct to convince mankind of the goodness of the institution, so that when a person is said to be a member of it, the world may know that he is one to whom the burdened heart may pour out its sorrows, to whom distress may prefer its suit, whose hand is guided by the justice, whose heart is expanded by benevolence. In short, by diligent observance of the bylaws of your lodge, the Constitution of Masonry, and above all, the Holy Scriptures, which are given as a ruling guide to your faith, you will be enabled to acquit yourself with honor and reputation, and lay upon a crown of rejoicing, which shall continue when time shall be no more. So what does this term mean, crown of rejoicing? As we look into the King James Version of the Holy Bible in 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 19, it reads, "For what is our hope, or joy, or crown of rejoicing?" In layman term, it refers to the master of the lodge to lead the lodge. Make sure adequate training is provided to its members. He is the leader and teacher. Follow his leadership, and the lodge will benefit from his governance. He leads by example. Brother Marshal, you will seek the worst master in the east and present the wardens for the charge. Brother Senior and Junior Wardens, you are too well acquainted with the principles of masonry to warn any distrust that you will be found wanting in the discharge of your respective duties. Suffice it to say that what you have seen praiseworthy in others, you should carefully imitate. And what in them may have appeared defective, you should in yourselves amend. You should be examples of good order and regularity. For it is only by the due regard to these laws in your own conduct that you can expect obedience to them from others. You are to assist the master in the discharge of his trust, diffusing light and imparting knowledge to all whom he shall place under your care. In the absence of the master, you will succeed to higher duties. Your requirements must therefore be such as that the craft may never suffer for the want of proper instruction. From the spirit which you have hitherto evinced, I entertain no doubt that your future conduct will be such as to merit the applause of your brethren and the testimony of your conscience, good conscience. Brother Marshal, you will seat the wardens in their respective stations. the members of this lodge, please rise. Brethren, such is the nature of our Constitution that some must, of necessity, rule and teach, while others must, of course, learn to submit and obey. Humility in both is an essential duty. The officers who are elected and appointed to govern your lodge are sufficiently conversant with the rules of propriety and the laws of Masonic order to avoid exceeding the powers with which they are entrusted.
I missed a step.
And you are too generous dispositioned to envy their preferment. I therefore trust that you will have but one aim, and that will be to try to please each other and unite in the grand design of being happy and communicating happiness. Finally, my brethren, as the business of this lodge has been conducted in peace and harmony, so may it long continue. May you and your associates long enjoy every satisfaction and delight which disinterested friendship can afford. May kindness and brotherly affection distinguish your conduct as men and as Masons. Within your peaceful walls, you may your children's children celebrate with joy and gratitude the annual recurrence of this auspicious solemnity. And may the principal tenets of our profession, brotherly love, belief, and truth, be transmitted through your lodge, pure and unimpaired, from generation to generation. Brother Marshal, you will proclaim the installation. The audience will please rise.
In the name of and by the authority of me vested by the most worshipful Grand Lodge of Texas, I now proclaim the officers of Waller Lodge number 808 duly and constitutionally installed.
Y'all may be seated. Do we have any presentation? From the
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
May I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
My shoe broke earlier. Worshipful Master, on behalf of Waller Chapter of the Order of the Eastern Star, we would like to make a small love gift to the lodge for our gratitude and our appreciation for allowing us to be able to meet in this beautiful lodge. And we also want to thank all the brothers in Eastern Star. We are able to use your square and compass on our Bible during our meetings. But just a small presentation.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sister Glenda is the worthy matron of our Waller Eastern Star Chapter. Would all, if I may, would all of our Waller OES members please rise? You mean this little one over here? The one I'll use. Swallow the deer, so I got
Stephen, you don't know what this means to me to give this to you. We have come a long way, and I know you're steadfast to carry it forward. And if I could ever be of any service to Waller Lodge No. 808, please give me a call. I'll tender the gavel to you, take off my hat, and the hat is yours.
Brother Doug, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Adam, you're right. Doug, you're right.
Already tearing them off. Me.
These grew up with.
We can remedy that. They gotta put a little trim piece to this
Thank you all so much for coming out today. I want to give special thanks to my installation team. Could I have the entire installation team before the west side of the office? That would be Doug Hudson, your installing officer. Bart Henderson, your installing marshal. Sean Welk, your installing secretary. Jack Vance, your installing chaplain. Carl Chiffant, your installing musician. And Carter Scarborough, your installing photographer. Did you bring your camera, Carter?
Carter, bring your camera.
What an incredible line here. The picture of masonry. Up and down this line, I see men who contributed so much to masonry on so many different levels. Each one of you guys is someone I can turn to if I need some help, if I need an answer, I just need a friend. You guys, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this year's installation of officers. It means a lot to me. Thank you, thank you. I'd like to give you a token of my appreciation. At this time, I would like to have the installation team be seated except for the installing officer and the installing marshal. Please give a round of applause. Several months ago, when the membership here at Waller decided that they would ask me to serve in Greg Williams' place after passing away. It was an incredible honor. And it's a memory I will never forget because two men said that they would be happy to serve as my installing officer, installing marshal. It meant a lot to me. A past master of Waller Lodge, his name is John Garrett. He owns Rustic Furniture out in Hempstead. I didn't get paid to say that. I just want to let you guys know. He is a true craftsman. He couldn't be here today. He had plans to be here today. Couldn't make it, family obligations. And I sat down with him and I talked to him about making something for our installation guy. For installing officers, installing workers. We put our heads together and we came up with something. I wanted something that guys don't normally get. We get apron cases, we get gavels, we get hats, we get all kinds of stuff. But we sell them in boxes. This is a Masonic keepsake box in the shape of Texas. But it doesn't come off this, oh, there it goes. It's a keepsake box that Brother John Garrett made himself with his own two hands. And I have one here for each of you. To H. Bart Henderson, Grand Junior Warden, Grand Lodge of Texas. The past master's logo and the Grand Lodge of Texas seal.
Thank you very much.
Douglas M. Hudson, District Deputy Grand Master at Large, Grand Lodge of Texas. The past master's logo with Grand Lodge of Texas seal on it. Brother Doug. As men, we won't get very far without the ladies in our lives. Sometimes we have a hard time getting dressed without the ladies in our lives. I'd like to take this time to express on the Waller Lodge's behalf how much we appreciate you. When our senior and junior deacons, please rise. Set your aprons down. Set your apron down. Would you please come up here to the secretary's desk? To express our appreciation, each one of the ladies present will be receiving a rose on behalf of Waller Lodge. Each lady present. John, go take care of that side. Yes.
Another bucket over there.
George, put your head down.
They'll be over here.
You ain't getting one, George. Look at there. George, wife, there, there.
George what?
What?
Hey, Mary.
No marriage.
No, no.
Thank you.
We not
You're good. How'd you count that good? I saw you sweating there for a second.
Please tell me there's no one in the restroom right now. Wow.
How cool is
Sure,
that?
what'd I tell you?
God is good.
You just never know. Who the bucket? As I mentioned earlier, the outgoing master could not be here because of his prior commitment. I had a special gift for him right here in gift wrap. I gift wrapped this present here. That would just mean I just wrapped gift paper around it. That's all I did. But he won't be here. I'd like to introduce a few people in attendance before turning it over, before ending it. As you know, Waller is an old town named after Edwin Leonard Waller, who signed the Declaration of Independence. He also signed the letter of secession when we joined the Union. He was the second signer. He was also the man who laid out the city of Boston. He laid it out. He also served as its first mayor.
He's the one.
Grand Lodge, the Republic of Texas decided to name a county after him while he was still living and named it Waller County. They took parts of Harris County and Grimes County and made Waller. Brother Doyle, you shaking your head?
Harris County didn't get it.
That's an argument for the Historical Society. I would trust you might have been there, I was not. I don't doubt what you have to say though, Doyle. Were you able to find that history, by the way? Outstanding. Outstanding, I'm looking forward to seeing it. In attendance here today, we have a man who has served the city of Waller for over 30 years, almost 40 years. He is a man that's been active in the community, both near and far. He is a owner of anything pro-Waller. We are welcome to have him here. It's a blessing to have in our attendance because he stays a busy man. Please give a warm welcome to the mayor of Waller City, Danny Marshal. Thank you, Honorable Sir. Thank you for attending. Did you want to address the crowd or no? Did you want to address the crowd?
Well, I welcome everybody to the city. The city of Waller is a proud little city. We're growing, financially stable, and we'll continue to be that as long as I have the hammer. We have great citizens here, and we welcome anybody that wants to come, be part of our community. We have a great community, and the reason we have it is because organizations like this. The Masons are good people, and when they're asked to help do something, they help, just like all the citizens do. And it's a privilege to have Masons living in Waller, have the hall here. It's a privilege just to live in Waller and know the people. And that's all I can say is we just enjoy life, and we're moving forward, and we're moving a quick way to move, and we're growing, and we know we're growing. We're gonna do it the right way. So just, again, welcome to Waller.
Thank you, Honorable Sir. Mr. Beal, I'd like to introduce, I've known for a very long time, about 25 years or so, maybe longer. We served in the Harris County Sheriff's Department during that time, and they continue to serve in law enforcement. One has been recently elected as the sheriff of Waller County. Outstanding lawman. He's the kind of guy you'd see on a movie. He looks like a lawman. He talks like a lawman. He walks it. He smells crime. I know that sounds funny, but some people have a nose for it and some don't. Some people just have a job. Just not this man. That's what he knows. It's who he is. And I'm so proud to call him my friend, to have him in attendance today. Please give a warm welcome to your sheriff, Troy Guidry. Brother Troy, did you want to address the crowd?
Thank y'all very much, and just have y'all know that none of this would have happened if we wasn't for the citizens of Waller. And I can assure you, we're going to move forward in this time of need and the way the world is today. Thank you.
I work with a lot of men in law enforcement. My brother-in-law will tell you how that is, so will my sister. Some ain't worth a darn, let's put it nicely. And some are mighty fine. Good folks to know. And then some are even better than that. They're good administrators as well. You give them a task, you know it's done. I learned a long time ago, if you need something done, give it to the busiest man. Yes, you want to get done. Just what he does. He dots every I and crosses every T. And chances are real good this will be exactly the answer you need. You may not want it, but it's the one you need. That man is James Flint. He is currently serving as the chief in the Waller County Sheriff's Department. Please give a warm round of appreciation. Brother James, did you want to address the crowd or not?
I just wanted to say congratulations. It's been my honor for many, many years to work alongside you, as well as the supervisor. You've always been an honorable man, and I consider it an honor to call you my friend.
Thank you, sir. Larry, I'm forgetting something. Look, I'm forgetting something. I didn't give her the memo, that's right. Let's go ahead and do introductions. I'd like to start, Brother Carl, do you have someone here with you?
First Master, thank you. You know, you have the same story that a lot of y'all have. There's this woman involved that kind of led you into masonry. Well, for me, that's my wife, Sharon. Got to knowing her dad, and I was just kind of a young pup, and he was going to the lodge, and I pitched right in, and it was like, this is something I want to do. So I was fortunate to be initiated, pastor, raised during Leo's year as master at Pleasant Hill. So we've got Leo Scott, my father-in-law, his lady Sheila, who's sitting way over here, and then she's gonna shake her head at me for a moment, because technically we probably should introduce the offended bodies. But the sitting queen of the Tabeel Temple of Daughters of the Tabeel Temple number 88 of the Daughters of the Nile. Norma Scott is also my sister-in-law, photographer extraordinaire. Anything we need, she kind of jumps into. It's not all free labor, though. There's a lot of sweat equity involved in that. And then, of course, you have the family you choose. So I have my good friend, Faye Evans, who chose me quite a while ago, thankfully. And then a buddy of mine from high school, Richard Dorman, and then his lovely wife, Christy. Thank you, Worshipful Master.
Chris?
Well, I couldn't have put it as eloquently as Brother Baggett, but you always have a lady that leads you there. And my lady is my beautiful wife, Rebecca. Her grandfather was my mentor and was a 50-plus year Mason and taught me about this fraternity and taught me what it was like to be a man. Because when we got married, I was very young, 19 years old, and he was always there. So, and then, of course, I've got my wonderful son, Kyle Weiler, with me. He's a Master Mason, member of Berkshire Lodge, and will be affiliating here on Tuesday night when we open our stated meeting. His beautiful fiancee, Addie. They're getting married in March, so congratulations to both of them. And then the one and only Ms. Riley May. My beautiful granddaughter. She's my light. She keeps me going. So I love you, baby girl. Mwah.
Brother Richard?
Well, I'm here by myself, but I do have my Masonic family here. Thank you.
Brother Adam?
Adam Harvey, I'm just here with my father, Bart Harvey, who kind of drug, pulled, lured me into masonry and all that. I'm glad he did.
Brother John?
I have my lovely bride of 47 years, Mary Frances. And when I was introduced into the masonry, she was with me when I was raised, and she asked me, why do we wear aprons? Are we cooking something? And I told, no, we're not cooking, but we're going by what God has provided for us and what we stand for.
Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, John served as master of Cade Roswell Lodge in 95, 96. And we served together at that same lodge. It's a pleasure to have you out here and serving Waller Lodge. Thank you, John. Brother Jim?
Well, I'm alone, but my wife wanted to be here, but she's recuperating from ankle surgery, so she can't walk. So, anyway, thank you. It's going to be an honor. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jim. Brother Doyle?
I have my lovely wife, Eunice, with whom June the 2nd we celebrated 65 years today.
Whoa.
And Robert?
Thank you for words, Master. By myself today, but I do have my sisters from Eastern Star. Appreciate them being here so much today. Linda's a worthy matron, I'm the worthy patron this year. And Denise Sue had medical issues this week, and she made it. I'm just blessed to have them in my life. Thank you.
Now my family. Do what? Always right. On this side, I have my number one lady, Miss Terry, who keeps me straight. Stand up, I want anybody to see how beautiful you are. She is my heart and soul. Thank you so much for everything you do for me, man. Standing next to her is our daughter Jennifer. Standing around her knees. Oh, there he is. That's Hunter, which is her child. Our grandson. In the blue shirt here is Tiger. This is Terry's brother. Sitting next to him is Debbie, her sister. Sitting up front here is her mother, Miss Baronacci. Thank you all for coming. Give it a work. Come on. This side, this my side. I've got Miss Katie. Stand up, Miss Katie. Miss Cassidy. My nieces. My dear sister Sheila. And her husband Terry. Seated over there is Roper and his son Katie. Thank you all so much for coming. As you may have noticed when you drove up to the lodge, it's under repairs. There's no sign outside. The ground's tore up. The inside's torn up. But we're making plans. We're working hard to prepare the building for next year, which is our 125th anniversary. I hope you guys get a chance to come back here in a year to see the progress we've made. I promise you, it'll be something. Thank you all for coming out. At this time, I would like to have everyone rise. We're going to have a closing prayer. And then most everyone can retire to the dining room. Brother Jack?
Thank you, worship church. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, as we complete the installation of the new officers of Waller Masonic Lodge today, we ask for your guidance for these officers for the coming Masonic year 2021-2022. We ask that your right hand be as a shield and buckler against all things, that your all-seeing eye observes us, while they continue to act in the conformity of our craft in the advancement of Masonry. We ask that you walk with the worshipful Master, that he continue the teachings of Masonry, as we speculative Masons keep close to our heart, especially our charity to others. We ask that you be with the young men and women who are in harm's way, keeping our country free as we know it today. Give us the opportunity to meet in this great fraternal organization in a free country. We ask you, bring them home safely to their families. Keep us safe as we make our journey back to our homes. Father, as we are about to enjoy a great meal, we ask that you bless it, not only for the nourishment of our bodies, but for our spiritual needs as well. As we ask that you bless those that prepared such a great feast. Enrich us as the time around these tables, that through our conversations and sharing, we may become more committed to the understanding and supporting one another in our words and actions. For it is in your holy name we pray. Amen.
So mote it be.
This closes our installation. If everyone would retire except for the installation team and the installed officers. Everyone else will retire to the dining